For millions of years, the earth was a stage for giants. Today, the African elephant is undisputed king of the land, weighing in unrespectable 6 tons. But in the grand timeline of our planet, the elephant is a lightweight. We are about to step back into a world We are about to step back into a world where gravity was the only enemy, a world where animals grew so large that a single footstep could crush a forest and a single breeze could fill a room. But how is this biologically possible? How can a heart pump but how can a how can a heart pump blood up a 12-meter neck? And how can bones support the weight of a commercial airliner? To grow this large, nature had to invent new ways to build a body. Dinosaurs utilized hollow, boat-like bones filled with air sacs to reduce weight without sacrificing strength. Mammals, on the other hand, relied on sheer pillar-like limb density. In this hour, we aren't just looking at big animals, we are looking at the absolute limits of biological engineering. From the terrifying predators of the Cretaceous to the massive mammal of the Ice Age, there are the 10 largest land animals ever recorded in history. We begin our journey 10 million years ago with a relative of the elephant that looks like it stepped out of a nightmare. Our countdown, our countdown, our countdown begins not with a dinosaur, but with a mammal that would make a modern elephant look like a calf. Meet the Dinotherium, the terrible beast, living across Africa, Europe, and Asia for nearly 20 years. This was one of the largest land mammals to ever walk the earth. Standing nearly 4.5 meters, 15 feet at the shoulder and weighing up to 13 tons, Dinotherium was twice the size of a modern African elephant. If it stood on a modern street, its back would be level of the second-story windows of a house. The most striking feature of Dinotherium is its downward tusk. Unlike modern elephants that use tusks for defense or digging, Dinotherium's tusks were attached to its lower jaw. Paleontologists believe they acted like giant hoes or hooks used to pull down high branches or strip top bark from trees. It was a specialized feeding machine capable of consuming hundreds of kilograms of vegetation every single day to fuel its massive frame. Despite its success, Dinotherium disappeared as the world climate changed and forests gave way to grasslands. It represents a peak in mammalian evolution, a time when the Earth's vegetation was so lush it could support a 4-story tall herbivore. But as we move further back in time, the mammals fade away. The mammal fades away, and we enter the age of the true heavyweight, the dinosaurs. Our next contender is a fan favorite, a 3-horned tank that proved you didn't need a long neck to be a giant. Triceratops horridus, the heaviest horned titan. Moving from the mammals of the Ice Age back to the end of the Cretaceous period, we encounter a creator that defies heavy duty. This is Triceratops horridus. Why we often think of long-necked dinosaurs as the only giant. These three, this, this three-horned wonder was a marvel of compact mass. It didn't just it didn't just walk the earth; it anchored it. Don't let its relatively short stature fool you. Triceratops was incredibly Triceratops was incredibly dense. A large adult could weigh up to 14 tons. That is heavier than two fully grown African elephants combined. Standing about 3 meters tall but stretching 9 meters in length, its weight was distributed. Its weight was distributed across four massive, pillar-like legs that had to be incredibly strong to support such a concentrated load. A huge portion of that 14 a huge portion of that a huge portion of that 14-ton weight lived in the front of the body. Triceratops possessed one of the largest and heaviest skulls of any land animal in history. A single skull could reach 2.5 meters in length, nearly a third of the net, nearly a third of the nearly the nearly a third of the animal's entire body. This wasn't just for show. The massive body the massive bony field served as an anchor for powerful jaw muscle, allowing Triceratops to share through the toughest, most fibrous prehistoric plants. But it also acted as a shield. But it also acted as a shield. When you weigh 14 tons and have a solid bone plate protecting your neck, you aren't just herbivore. You are you are a mobile fortress. Unlike the long-necked giants we will see later, Triceratops kept its weight low to the ground. This gave it incredible stability. In a confrontation with a predator, it wouldn't run, it would race. Its sheer mass meat is almost impossible to topple, turning it into an immovable object that even the most terrifying carnivores had to respect. Speaking of that speaking Speaking of terrifying carnivores, our next entire our next entire might not our next entire might not be the heaviest on the list, but it is the most famous 9-ton nightmare to ever walk the planet. Get ready to meet the king. In a list filled with massive herbivores, the number 8 spot belongs to a legend, the most terrifying nightmare to ever walk the earth. This is Tyrannosaurus rex. While it's not maybe the heaviest animal on our list, T-Rex are the largest and heaviest terrestrial carnivore reliably recorded by science. It wasn't just a hunter, it was a mobile fortress of muscle and power. For decades, we imagined T-Rex as a somewhat slender predator. However, recent discoveries of massive specimens like Seal and Scotty have completely rewritten a narrative. A fully grown T-Rex could weigh between 9 and 10 tons. To put that in perspective, it weighed more than the largest modern African elephants. Unlike the lean version seen in older movies, the real T-Rex was incredibly bulky, with a wide ribcage and massive think. With a wide ribcage and massive thigh muscle built to support its immense frame. How did a 10-ton creator stay upright on only 2 legs? The answer lies in perfect biological balance. Its muscular tail acted as a heavy counterweight for its massive, bone-crushing head. Similar to modern birds, T-Rex bones contained hollow air sacs, pneumatism, which reduced the weight of its skeleton without sacrificing strength. This allowed it to reach gargantuan proportions without collapsing under the force of gravity. At this weight, every step a T-Rex took exerted massive pressure on the ground. It didn't just use this mass to intimidate, it used it to kill. By driving 9 tons of body weight into its bite, the T-Rex could generate enough force to crush a car. It didn't just eat meat, it pulverized bone. The T-Rex represents the absolute limit of what a two-legged carnivore could achieve before being conquered by gravity. T-Rex may have been the king of the carnivores, but at our next spot, we return to the world of mammals to meet a giant that looked like a strange hybrid of a giraffe and rhinoceros. As we move into the top 7, we leave the dinosaurs behind for a moment to meet the absolute heavyweight champion of the mammalian world. This is Paleontological, standing nearly 5 meters 16 feet tall at the shoulder. This was a rhinoceros that had evolved to live like a giraffe. For millions of years, it was the largest creature to walk the earth since the existence of the dinosaur, pushing the biological limits of what a mammal can achieve. While T-Rex might have tipped the scales at 9 tons, Paleontological blew past that. Estimates suggest a large adult weight approximately 17 tons. That is the equivalent of nearly 3 large African elephants. To support this massive weight, Paleontological evolved legs like pillars, thick, straight, and incredibly dense, designed to act as structural support rather than for speed. Why grow so large? The answer, as always, was food. Paleontological lived in a world where the best vegetation was high off the ground. Its long neck and prehensile upper lips allowed it to reach leaves that no other mammal could touch. Its skull alone was over a meter long, but unlike modern rhinos, it has no horn. It didn't need one. When you are a 17-ton tower of muscle, very few predators in history would even consider a confrontation. Its sheer size was its primary defense. The pride of being a giant. Being the largest land mammal ever came with a cost. A creature this size would have had a very slow reproductive rate, likely giving birth to only one calf every few years. When the climate began to change and the lush forest of Central Asia turned into grassland, Paleontological couldn't adapt fast enough. It remains a magnificent outlier in history, the moment mammals tried to reclaim the scale of the ancient giant. But as impressive as a 17-ton mammal is, it still looks like a dwarf compared to what comes next. We are returning to the age of dinosaurs to meet a duckbill, so massive it could crush a T-Rex under its weight. When most people think of duck-billed dinosaurs, they imagine gentle, medium-sized creatures that spend their life running away from predators. But our number 6 entry completely shattered that stereotype. This is Titanosaurus, found in the Shandong province of China. This titan belongs to the Hadrosaurs family. but it grew to proportions that rivaled the largest predator on the planet. Standing over 16 meters, 52 feet, long and weighing a massive 18 tons, Sanctungosaurus was a monster of the plains. To put that into perspective, it was nearly double the weight of a Tyrannosaurus rex. It is currently the largest non-sauropod dinosaur ever discovered, meaning it reached this incredible weight without the cheat code of a long neck. Why grow this large if you don't have horns or armor? For Sanctungosaurus, size was the armor, living alongside predators like Gigantorhinus, a close relative of T-Rex. This duckbill simply grew too large to be eaten. It's hard to tackle a prey item that weighs as much as 3 other elephants and can strike with a tail as heavy as a redwood tree. Despite its toothless, duck-like back, the back of its mouth was a masterpiece of biological engineering. It possessed a dental battery consisting of over 1,500 tiny teeth. These teeth acted like a giant sandpaper belt, allowing the 18-ton giant to grind up the targets behind needles and branches. Fueling a body this large required a massive caloric intake, and Sanctungosaurus was essentially a 16-meter-long lawnmower. What's truly fascinating is that while Sanctungosaurus spent most of its time on four legs to support its 18 tons, evidence suggests it could likely rise up on its hind behind to reach higher vegetation or perhaps even to run on in short bursts. Imagine 18 tons of muscle and bone balanced on two legs. It is the ultimate testament to the strength of dinosaurian bone structure. As we leave the massive duckbills behind, we enter the final tier of our countdown. From here on out, we are no longer talking about tons. We are talking about mountains. We are entering the realm of the long necks. If there is one dinosaur that defines the word giant in the public imagination, it is our number 5. This is Brachiosaurus. Unlike the other long neck we have seen, Brachiosaurus didn't hold its neck horizontally. It stood like a 13 meters long biological crane. It was the giraffe of the Jurassic, a creature designed to reach food that no other animal on the planet could ever see. Estimates for the weight of Brachiosaurus have shifted over the years as our understanding of dinosaur biology improved. Today, scientists believe a large adult weighed between 30 to 40 tons. To put that in perspective, that's about the weight of 7 fully grown African elephants stacked on top of each other. What makes Brachiosaurus unique among the giants is its posture. Most sauropods had front legs shorter than their back legs. Brachiosaurus flipped the script. Its front legs were significantly longer, giving its back a steep, sloping angle. This allowed its head to reach a staggering 12 to 13 meters, over 40 feet in the air. Living at the head presented a massive biological problem: blood pressure. To get blood from its chest all the way up to its brain, Brachiosaurus needed a heart the size of a trash can and a massive muscular circulatory system. Its neck vertebrae was also a masterpiece of weight-saving design. They were filled with air sacs, making them incredibly light yet strong enough to support the weight of a neck that functioned like a biological skyscraper. As we leave the Sky High Classic behind, we move toward a creator that proved that even after the age of dinosaurs, nature was still capable of producing a giant that could challenge the throne of the Titans. Returning one last time to the age of mammals, we meet the animal that currently holds the heavyweight title for the largest land mammal to ever walk the earth. This is Paleolosodon namadicus, the Asian straight-tusked elephant. While Paracetharium was taller, recent skeletal analyses suggest that this prehistoric elephant was significantly bulkier. It represents the absolute maximum size a mammal can reach before the law of biology and his dissipation make further growth impossible. Until recently, we underestimated this giant. However, new fragment analysis of lamb bones found in India suggest that a large male could weigh a staggering 22 tons. To help you visualize that, take 4 of the largest African bull elephants you can find and fuse them into one single animal. It stood over 5 meters, 16.4 feet at the shoulder, meaning a human wouldn't even reach the top of its front leg. What truly defied Paleontological was its massive, dome-shaped skull. It possessed a unique crest of bone on its forehead that acted as a massive anchor for the trunk and neck muscle required to carry its most famous feature, its tusk. Unlike the curved tusks of mammoths or modern elephants, these were nearly straight and could reach over 4 meters, 13 feet in length. Being a 22-ton mammal is much harder than being a 20-ton dinosaur because mammals are warm-blooded. They generate immense internal heat. An animal this size would have struggled to stay cold in the humid climates of prehistoric Asia. Scientists believe they likely had massive, highly vascularized ears and perhaps even a lower metabolic rate than modern elephants to prevent literally cooking themselves from the inside out. With Paleontological, we have reached the limit of the mammals. For the top 3, we return to the titans of the deep past, the super sauropods, where the weights don't just increase, they explode. In 2014, a farm worker in Patagonia, Argentina, spotted something unusual sticking out of the ground. Little did he know he had just stumbled upon a graveyard of giants. This is Patagotitan majorums, a member of the Titanosaurs family and one of the most complete supersauropods ever found. For years, we guessed at the size of this giant from a newborn fragment. But Patagotitan gave us the blueprint for a biological mountain. When we talk about Patagotitan, we are talking about numbers that sound like they belong in a shipyard. Large individuals reach lengths of 37 meters, 122 feet, that is longer than two standard semi-trucks parked end to end. Its weight in at a massive 70 tons. To put that in perspective, if you wanted to balance a scale with a single Patago Titan, you would need at least 10 large African bull elephants on the other side. To keep a 70-ton body functioning, the internal organs had to be masterpieces of engineering. Its heart was likely the size of a small car, pumping nearly 90 liters of blood with every single beat. Its lungs were massive below, and it would have needed to consume nearly 2,000 pounds of vegetation every single day just to maintain its weight. It wasn't just an animal, it was a self-moving ecosystem. The structure of Patago Titan's skeleton is a lesson in physics. Its neck was long enough to reach the top of a 5-story building, but it likely spent most of its time held horizontally, sweeping across the landscape like a massive vacuum cleaner. The vertebrae were honeycombed with air sac. If they had been solid bone, the dinosaur wouldn't have been able to lift its own neck. It was a delicate balance of massive strength and weight-saving height that allowed it to defy the crushing power of gravity. But as incredible as Patagon Titan is, it only takes the bronze medals. Our next contender comes from the same regions of Argentina, but takes the heavyweight title to a level that science is still trying to wrap its head around. If Patago Titan was a biological mountain, then our number 2 is an entire mountain range. Found in the same fossil-rich soils of Argentina, Titanosaurus huinculensis remains the gold standard by which all other giants are measured. For decades, it has sat atop the throne of the heaviest land animal ever known to science. While we only have a few pieces of its skeleton, including vertebrae as tall as a man, they tell a story of a creator that pushed the very laws of physics to their breaking point. Calculations for the weight of Titanosaurus are the subject of intense scientific debate, but the numbers are mind-boggling. Most experts place this titan between 80 and 90 tons. To match the mass of just one Titanosaurus, you would need to gather 15 African bull elephants. Its reach length of nearly 40 meters, 131 feet. If an Titanosaurus stood on a football field, its tail would be at the 40-yard line while its head pulled over the goalpost. To support 90 tons of weight, the Titanosaurus couldn't have a normal skeleton. Its vertebrae were massive, reaching over 1.5 meters, 5 feet in height and width. These bones were locked together with specialized hypophonum hypentrum joint act as stabilizing structures that prevented the spine from snapping under the sheer force of gravity. This was an animal that spent its entire life in a battle against its own weight. Its legs were thick, pillar-like columns of solid bone, and its feet likely had massive fleshy pads, similar to an elephant's, to help distribute the crushing pressure of its footsteps. Perhaps the most shocking fact about Argentinosaurus is how it started life. This 90-ton behemoth stretches from Earth no larger than a grapefruit. A baby Argentinosaurus had to grow nearly 25,000 times its hatching weight to reach adulthood. It is one of the most extreme growth spurts in the history of life on Earth. Titanosaurus represents the undisputed champion of confirmed science. But in the final minutes of our journey, we must look at a ghost from the past, a discovery that suggests there was once a titan even larger, one that may have started the 100 tons barrier. We have reached the top spot, but it comes with a mystery. Why Titanosaurus is the heaviest dinosaur we have held in our hands. The title of largest land animal ever may belong to a ghost. This is Mammoths fragilismus. Its story began in 1878 when paleontologist Edward Drinker Cook described a single colossal vertebra found in Colorado. According to his measurements, that one bone was 2.4 meters, nearly 8 feet tall. Shortly after being documented, the bones mysteriously disappeared, leaving only cold sketches and notes behind. For over a century, scientists have debated, was it a mistake, or did a true monster once walk the earth? In 2018, a new study re-evaluated cold sketches. If the bone truly existed and belonged to a family scientists now suspect, the proportions are terrifying. Mammoths may have reached lengths of 35 to 60 meters, up to 200 feet. Its estimated weight, a staggering 120 to 150 tons. To put that in perspective, one Mammoths would weigh as much as two Boeing 737 or an entire herd of 25 African elephants. If these numbers are correct, Mammoths represents the absolute physical limits of terrestrial life. At 150 tons, the sheer heat generated by its digestion would be enough to cook its own organs if it didn't have massive air sac and a specialized circulatory system to stay cool. It would have moved at a glacial pace, its every step vibrating the earth for miles. It wasn't just an animal, it was a force of nature that we may never truly see again. Our journey through time has shown us a planet that was once a threat of the impossible. We have seen creators that defied gravity, pushed the limits of biology, and transformed the very landscape they walk upon. But why are they gone? The world changed. The lost high oxygen, plant-rich environments of the past gave way to a world of seasons and limited resources. As the food disappeared and the climate shifted, the giant world to first to fail. Today we live in a world of smaller wonders, where the 6-ton African elephant is our remaining link to this titanic past. This giant reminds us that the earth is a place of endless reinvention. They are a testament to the power of evolution and the fragile balance of life. We may never see 100-ton titan again, but their bones remain in the earth, waiting to tell us their stories. Thank you for joining us on this 60 minutes expedition into the land of titans. If you enjoyed this journey, hit the like button and share this video with another dinosaur enthusiast. Subscribe to join our herd as we continue to uncover the greatest secrets of history. The past is vast, and we have only just scratched on the surface.